Hello and welcome back to my channel. I hope y'all enjoyed the last tutorial. The end was a little bit of a mess. Hopefully I was able to clean it up. But this is the project we did. And we talked a little bit about embossing paper and how I was playing with it this week. So I'm going to do another idea that I did use embossing paper. Now, both of these ideas, you don't need embossing paper to do. Embossed paper, I guess is how you would say it. But I like the look of it. So I'm going to use it. And if you have some, great. So this is the journal we've been working in together. And this is the one I've been using just to create sort of the look so that you guys can see it in an actual journal before we do it. So I've got this little tag right here, and I'm going to flip directly to that page, and I've got this little journaling card. So I don't know if you can see that. I think you can, but that paper is embossed. And then it's got these layers of torn paper, kind of like an onion. And I really like it. I think it's cool. I did a few different ideas on this, so I'm going to show them to you guys. Let me get this out of the way so you can see. So I've got this one, and then I did this one, which is much simpler. So again, it's just a journaling card, and this is a floating journaling card. So you would just have a really pretty paperclip idea here, and you could just pop it in there. And then I did a charm off that paperclip. So if you sit it out just like that, that charm hangs right off the edge. And I think that's really pretty, right? Can we see that? Here we go. So just like that. So I did it with basically just some book page and a really neutral emboss, and I did add just a little bit of gold to that. Again, these torn edges, and then keeping it straight on this side, I just think is kind of fun. What I liked about, so one of the reasons I was doing that was I liked the idea of if you did, and I'm just going to give you an example, like if you had a corner here, you could even pop it right in, which I think would be kind of a cool look too. So I did this one. I've got this one, which is got a doily, and I did not emboss the paper. I think this is too busy for my taste, but I was just trying to think. Oh, I think even if you just kept the paper smooth, I think it looks just as cool. I've got this one that I did where I just did a little ribbon in here, and then I added a charm on there. And so if this were on this side, that ribbon and the charm would hang off the side. And again, you've got your journaling space back here. This time I left it lined instead of just the tea-dyed side. And again, it's embossed. This one I did rub some more ink on. I did this one where I kind of laminated in an extra design. So I did a die cut and I glued that on, and then I embossed them together. So just playing with the idea of making some of these journaling cards. And I think they're really fun. Like you could glue this on and make it a pocket. I like the idea of them being like floating journaling cards. And the reason why is because, I would do these in all different sizes. So as I'm going through my journal, because I want to have a lot of writing space, I don't always I'll do small embellishments on pages. So this page has nothing. So I could go through my cards and say I decided to use this one. And I would just take my, I could take my pretty paper clip and add it there and do a dangle. But this gives, let's bring it all the way up to make it look even better. Okay, so that would give this page something that doesn't inhibit their journaling space, because they can remove it, journal here. They can journal on the back of this card if they want. And I'm one of those crazy people who love to sort of journal in ways that probably would make no sense to somebody. If I died and somebody was trying to read my journals, they would have to know that I'm writing in a circle here and I curved in and then I started here, and I might write in a circle instead of writing straight on the line because I'm a little out there. That's all I can say. But so you could add these sorts of things to your spaces to give an image without, you know, to decorate the page without gluing anything on, and it's removable. And if they wanted to give it away, they could. If they want to keep it in here, they can. If they want to move it to a different page, they can. And so that appeals to me. Okay, so let me go ahead and get started. We don't really need our books to make these, so I'm going to get these out of the way. And we're just going to talk about sort of some of the stuff I did here. I'm going to do probably one example, and then these were just here to give you lots of ideas on what you could do with this sort of concept. So the first thing I did was I took some pretty paper and I just embossed it. And I've got these, I showed this in the last video, but I've got an embossing folder. And if you have a Sizzix or any of the, you know, sort of die cut machines, you would just put your paper in there, fold it, and then roll it through. If you don't, you can buy embossed paper, but you can also do this. Like I said, this one has no embossing. It's just smooth. And I still think it looks really cool. I love the layers of torn edges around here. I like it. I think it's really cool. I did some where it's kind of neater, and then this one's a little crazier. So you can kind of go as crazy with this as you want. So what I did was I used tea-dyed index cards, and I do use tea-dyed index cards a lot. It's sort of one of my go-tos for a lot of different projects. So I took my paper, and I'm going to start off by gluing. And so I'm going to use the negative space to tear out. That just appeals to me. So like here is where I would sort of tear, and then I would have this hanging down. But obviously that's artistic license, right? But I'm going to start because this paper gets really, really thin when I emboss it. And I could have used a much thicker one, but I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to emboss it, and now I'm going to glue it to my cardstock. So I'm going to glue this one down. See if and I am also sewing, so I don't have to stress too much. You don't have to sew these. You could just glue them, but if you're gonna just glue them, I would put a little more, you know, care into your glue, because you know that it needs to obviously be permanent, right? My sewing is gonna catch anything that my glue doesn't. Okay. So I'm going to go as close to that edge as I can. And there we go. Okay. And I'm going to flip it because it's easier to rub on this side than like on the embossed side. And I definitely don't want to rub out my embossing and flatten it too much. So, okay. So I've got this part done. And I'm going to take this first one and tear it. So I'm just going to get some of this stuff out of the way. And start tearing. I want to leave a little room around the edge. And I know I want to kind of go around this and down is the look I'm going for. But you're going to want to tear it the way that, you know, that you like. So I'm just kind of coming down. And I love these little scraps. I'll definitely be having some fun figuring out something to do with these. Okay. Okay. And I just really love that sort of straight edge and torn edge. Let's see. I think that's so cool. And it'll float, and it works with the, you know, sort of my aesthetic. Okay, so I've got this here, and I'm gonna just take a look, see if there's any areas that are like too, I don't like them to be too sharp. I like them to be a little rounded. Okay, so from here, I'm gonna ink this. I'm inking this torn edge because I'm gonna layer them here. And I love that look of them sort of being layered together and inked in different sort of places. So let's go ahead. I think it's got a really sort of rugged, natural look. And doesn't it also kind of like, you think of like flower petals or bark, you know, it gets my imagination going, and it's got this really great texture that I think is just so much fun. So much fun. Okay, so I'm using a fair amount of ink because I really want this torn edge to be a little dramatic. And so I'm going to go in here. Okay. And I won't ink that straight edge until I'm completely done. No sense in doing it yet. Okay. Okay. So I've got that sort of inked edge. And now I'm actually going to use another index card. One, I want this to be pretty thick. This is a thick card. And the reason I'm not doing too much crazy stuff on these is because I really want them just to be able to write on them. And if I've got a bunch of stuff glued to the front, when they go to write, it's going to be bumpy, right? So I wanted to keep that really smooth. But I also wanted it to be like a piece that you can move around and that has like a lot of heft to it. So I am now, let's see, which card I think I'm going to use this one. And I'm going to glue again because I want to create a second layer. And it's also just strengthening this up. So here we go. And if you're not going to sew, just make sure that you get in there and glue it really well. And if you wanted, you could use like a little pen or something to make little marks that make it look sewn. Okay. There we go. I'm going to get this one here. Okay. And let me flip that over. And now I'm going to tear, and similar to these lines, but I'm going to tear further away, right? I'm giving it a second layer. So here we go. Okay, I'm going to take this piece off just so I can see what I'm doing. Okay. Ah. Okay. It has been so cold here, but the last couple days has warmed up. It's making me feel like spring. I know we're in, you know, January, and I've got some time, but I'm just so darn excited. Okay, and I'm going to take a little piece there. So see, so now I've got like a second layer, and I'm going to ink that as well. You could do some stenciling. You could, you know, do kind of whatever you want with it. This is just the look that I kind of liked. Totally make it your own. Have fun with it. Okay. Okie dokie. Okay. Okay, there we go. So there's our second layer. So then if you wanted to have the line side, this is kind of where you would decide. I'm going to actually flip this one this way, I think, because I want my back to be like this rather than, and now I know I'm going to want, I'm digging having this sort of tab. So you can do this a couple different ways. I actually happen to have some die cut tags that I cut with my Sizzix. Let me see. But if you don't have these, you can take your paper and your straight edge corner punch, which sorry, I've got right here. I did not have it nice and handy. So say I didn't, I could just cut a piece down, however length I want that. Fold that over. Okay. And that would be way, well, is it way too long? Yeah, a little too long. So I'm gonna cut some of that down. And then I would just go in and you could use that. And then you've got that same look, right? And I probably go a little wider on that. That was just a kind of a quick demo. But I do have these die cuts. So I've got a whole bunch of different shapes. And it's nice to save some time. So I am going to use one of these. And I'm going to glue these two together because I want it to be kind of strong. So yeah, because this is going to take some wear and tear outside of the little, on the edge of the journal, right? So I'm just going to get that on there. Let's make sure. Okay. Okay. And I'm going to ink this because I pretty much ink everything. Sorry, just making sure that's lined up correctly. Okay. Okay. And I am going to take my third piece of paper. So this time I'm going to put some glue on this one. And decide, I think I'm going to go right here. Make sure that's nice and straight. Yeah, that looks good. Okay. And then I'm going to glue my second piece down. So this will be sandwiched in between the two. Now, you could also make that a pocket. I didn't because, again, I want these to be journaling, floating journaling cards. So in my thought is if there's a whole bunch of stuff in there, again, it becomes more of a pocket than a journaling card. But to each, you know, everybody kind of has their own things, likes and dislikes. When I'm writing on my journal, I don't want I don't want something in the way. I want like just a nice flat piece of paper. So that's just me. Okay, so I'm gonna, okay. And I'm gonna get in here. Okay. And I like sort of that tea stained look on this side because I just think it gives it a little more character. And then, make sure we're really on there. Okay, now I'm going to do my third and final layer. And this one, I'm staying pretty darn close. So this one's going to have 2 layers. You can go as many layers as you want. Okay. Okay. And let me get some of these little pieces off. Okay. Huh? Yeah, I like that. So now I'm going to ink again. And I'm going to round this corner. I'm going to save this for a round. I mean, normally I probably would leave them straight and then just round them if I need them. But this lets me know that it would go on this side in a rounded corner journal. Okay. And I would probably make them in all different sort of. Okay. This is a little more of a grungy project, but I like elegance and edge together. And I think because I feel like that's kind of maybe who I am. I like things that are super, super delicate and pretty. And I like things that are kind of edgy and rock and roll. So that really appeals to me. I'm going to trim this. Just make sure this is nice and even because I had some. There we go. And now I'm going to ink this side as well. And really get in there and ink that. Okay. So this is where, because I have been sewing mine, I would go in and sew around the edge. And some of these, like on this one I sewed once. Some of these, like on this one, I did 3 lines going along this edge. I thought that was kind of cool. So you can just play with it. I am going to do a rub-on transfer here. A little Tim Holtz #1. Let's see. Just had some of those. Here we go. Let's see. What am I going to put on there? I think I'm going to do... Will that fit? Hold on. I don't think collector is going to completely fit. Let's do... I'm just going to do some numbers. Because, yeah. Okay. So I think I'm going to take that piece off and just do this little piece here. And in my last video, you saw me doing these, so you know, but since we're here, we might as well do it again. Let's go like that, okay? These smaller ones are much easier. It's like you can almost see it come off. See, I shouldn't even say that because I'm going to jinx myself, right? See, there we go. So I've got some numbers there. I'm going to go even more dark, just really kind of, yeah, I like that. And what I did for paper clipping this in. I'm just going to show you. I know it's a small tutorial, but I actually really had fun making these. And I like that they're kind of quick and easy. Oh, and we can, you know, ink the back of this if you want. I'm not going to sew this one because I know a lot of people don't have a sewing machine. And if you do, you know how to sew. You know how you're going to sew it. So I'm going to leave that to you. I showed you the examples that were sewn. And we could do another label back there if we wanted. But let's just pretend this was going to go here. Isn't that pretty? Doesn't that just like give this page something without taking journaling space, which is my big thing. So I really love using these decorative paper clips. I'm trying to use less. And I got to tell you guys. So I watched the Buy Now documentary, and I've also been watching a fair number of documentaries about plastics and things. And it's given me a renewed sense of purpose when it comes to not buying so much. I do a lot of purchasing from like Goodwill Outlet, which I feel good about because I feel like that's stuff that would, you know, end up in the garbage. But rather than buy 50 different styles of paper clips, I've got like 3. And you're going to laugh because I had a whole bunch in my cart recently. And I was like, you know what? I'm walking away. I don't need 25 different kinds of paper clips. 3 is fine. I don't need anything more. In fact, I'm going to work really hard to not really buy anything more this year. Okay. So I've got my paper clip here. And I love that look, right? When you have some stuff hanging off the edge. So we've got this paper clip and then we've got this tab. And you start getting a few of those going and it gives a really neat look to the edge of your journal. But I want a little something here. So what I did was I just threw on some beads. Now, this 1mm, it's like elastic. I use the same elastic for everything. So this is 1mm brown, chocolate brown, and I just bought a big roll of it, and I'm like, you know what? This is what I have. And I have some little seed beads. Let me get some of this out. Let's see. So let's just pick some beads. We got okay. So what I love about, I'm going to get this out of the way again while we're doing this, okay? Because we don't need this here. Okay. So normally I have a little bowl that I use. Okay. So we're going to take, and I'm going to put this on here so you can see. So I'm going to go through this. I'm going to leave a little space here. And I'm going to tie a knot. Because I don't want it completely up. I want it to be able to move freely a little. Okay. So I've got that, right? And now, on either one, so I've got these little bumblebees that I love. It's one of my favorites. So I'm going to take one of these. And you can use, you know, beads that fell off of old jewelry. I happen to have a whole bag of these old seed beads, so I've been using these. And they fit. So I'm just going to put a couple of these on. A yellow. A red. A yellow. I'm just going to, you know, not go too crazy because I got you guys here with me. And you can do as many, obviously, as you want. pink. Okay. And then I would put on my little bumblebee. And I'm going to tie, I want mine to dangle a little low, so I'm going to tie 1 knot. I'm going to tie 2 knots. And I'm going to kind of stretch it out a little bit. There's 1. See? And on this one, I'm just going to put a couple beads. I'm going to do, here, I'm going to cut that in because it's a little frayed. I don't feel like you have to throw everything in the kitchen sink at things. You can, less sometimes is more. Not always. More sometimes is more. Listen to me. Wow, talk about mixed messages. But I like, you know, I think I like things a little bit more. I like to leave space. Am I not going to be able to get that one on because you guys are here watching me, waiting on me? Okay. You know what? We'll just grab a different bead. And just cut that again. Okay. There's 1. And last one. Okay. And then I want this one to be shorter. So I'm just going to cut, I'm going to tie my knots up higher. Now, you can do a square knot for this. I don't feel like I need to because I've tried to get knots out of this and I never can. So I've got it looking like this, and I'm just going to cut, I'm going to leave a little room on the end of each of these. I pop this right here. And I've got just some little dangles that come off the edge. And I just find that really, really sweet. I think it's a sweet little look. And just finishes this, right? So if we were going to put it in our journal, we're just going to pop it in with our pretty paper clip dangle. And it gives them a little treat because now if they wanted to use this card, but maybe they want to put in a picture of their daughter. Maybe they want to put in a sticker, whatever it is, they have an extra paper clip to put more in, or they can move it wherever they want. So this is my sort of flower budding journaling card. I think they're a lot of fun. Let me show you again just real quick so you can see the different looks that we can get with this. Super simple, but you know, just a really fun little journaling card that they can move around. And you could even add 2 together. Isn't that cool? In fact, I might do it. I might do it like that because I think that is really cool. How neat is that? Maybe add another paper clip somewhere. Maybe 1 for each side. But isn't that neat? So if you like this tutorial, give it a thumbs up. If you want to leave me a comment, I love, love, love reading them. It makes me, you know, fills me my heart with joy. Feel free to, you know, like this video and subscribe, or share it with friends, family, or, you know, anybody that you'd like. I will see you again next week. I'm trying to get my videos done every Mondays and Wednesdays, and that seems to be the sweet spot for me. So enjoy the rest of your week. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.